You all right? My name's Paul. I've got autism and I make random videos based on my version of autism and the way my head works. And I stick the videos on the internet just in case you fancy giving them a watch. Or on one of the audio platforms if you fancy giving them a listen. I'm everywhere these days, waffling my nonsense. Um, anyway, I wasn't going to do a video today, but it's now Friday. It's now the time I would generally stick one on the internet. But I thought, "Do you know what? Let's just give it the good old college try because I'm working away a lot again. You know, that was like something I wasn't missing when I was off with stress for a long time. I didn't miss being on the road as much. I didn't miss staying away from my comforts. But here we are. You know, and one of the things I did want to do was when I did start working away again full time, I wanted to take like a laptop with me, maybe film some videos on my phone, which was a good suggestion because I was thinking that I might need a new camera, some lights, loads of like as a travel kit. I'm not filming a movie. I just it's me waffling nonsense. So yeah, the problem is I don't know what way round to have my phone. I don't know what it'll sound like. I don't know anything when it comes to this anyway. So it's a bit of a tricky one. But loads has happened, and if I don't do an update, I'll forget it all, and if the day ever comes where I get to watch them back, I'll just think, what did you actually do, Paul, apart from do videos? Did anything go on apart from that? So, when I was working away this week, it was Valentine's Day. So there's me sat alone, in a place, um, while there was loved up couples having a burger. But well, that was what was crazy for me. Like, I stay in a place called the Premier Inn, and if you don't know what the Premier Inn is, because you don't have them in your part of the world, they're a very unpretentious hotel, and they usually have a pub slash restaurant attached to it. And the reason I stay in them is because it doesn't matter where in the country I'm staying. You stay in a Premier Inn, you expect the same thing, same colours on the walls, same type of beds. It's just I like familiarity because why not? And yeah, I just stay in them because it's easy, and plus I don't have to use my own money. You get a meal voucher because otherwise I'd have to buy my meal, do a claim back through receipts, and I hate the process. It's so boring and it takes a long time. So I just thought, Premier Inns are the simple ones, and yeah, you just wouldn't think people would go to a restaurant on the grounds of a Premier Inn for a date, but turns out people do. It's like the equivalent of getting married in a supermarket. It's just not glamorous. So the chefs flash fry and microwave everything. There's no skill in any of the cooking. It's really, like I've said, it's a very unpretentious place and suits me down to the ground. But to go on a date there, come on, man, raise the bar. But I couldn't get a table till 9:15 in the evening, and then I get sat down, and I just look like this angry man who's been stood up because it's so late and I'm eating alone. But there was a table next to me, and no offense if you're from Bristol, I know you don't all sound like this, but I had posh people from Bristol sat on the table next to me, 6 of them, 3 guys, 3 girls, I assume, and, just the voice of how posh people can be. Not one of them could have been over the age of 24, and they're talking about mortgages and, it's like the way they were talking and the size of the houses they were banging on about because they were right at the table next to me. I couldn't help but overhear it. And their parents clearly gave them money for assistance. To sort of buy their first home and stuff like this. Like, oh yes, Daddy told me to move my money. Like, Daddy, you're not 3. What are you saying that for? When grown ups use mummy and daddy in their sentence, you know they're loaded. But yeah, they just kept sort of looking over at my table. I was there with me plaid big jacket on, angry face, just shoveling garlic bread and cheese in my mouth. And they must have been looking because I was the only person in there sat on my own, which on any other day of the year is absolutely fine. And it was fine for me on Valentine's Day, but people were bothered, like, Why is he there? As you reckon he's been stood up? Um, so it's just a weird thing. So yeah, I think what I need to do is maybe figure out how to do videos while I'm on the road, because it'll get me a video done and it'll also keep me occupied in the evenings when I am crazy bored sat in a hotel room of an unpretentious hotel. There we go. Work's going all right. For those of you who've not asked, I'm just sharing. I'm oversharing today. I've got a new health and safety manager. So I have a head of health and safety. He's the big kahuna, but he's after a fire manager and he's after a head of health and safety manager, and he's now got his health and safety manager. And he's a guy that I quite like in my workplace. He's a nice guy. He cares about his work being done and being done right. So that's a big tick in my book. We've got the right manager there. I am just keeping everything I have crossed that there's a certain individual who doesn't even think of applying for the fire manager's job, because it'll just ruin it. So yeah, let's just keep our fingers crossed. Work's going all right though. There's a couple of weird things going on which I'm not a fan of, but we'll unearth that when we get there. It's also, what is it, Storm Eunice, I think its name is. That's happening in the UK right now. You know, some people have had 122-mile-an-hour winds battering them, and the worst I've had at the minute is the lid has blown open on my bin, and I've had to go and close that. You know, so it's mayhem here, having to close bin lids. Anyway, oh, and my puppy George, poor little George, he's never well. He's like me. I'm not well. I'm still not well. You know, he's off at the vet getting an anti-sickness jab as I speak, and having a general look over and all that. They're having a good route around again, because he's just not a well dog. You know, there's nothing they can see in blood scans, intrusive, everything. He looks all right, but he just can't keep his food down, and he's on like anti-allergy foods and all sorts, like bland biscuits, bland food, and then just every now and again, where gives it up, and then he's on his backside for like 8 hours, and then starts to pick up, and it's just not fair. You know, he's a puppy. He should be happy and bouncy and wanting to play tug of war rather than just rolling on his back every time he sees you, because it's like, oh please no, don't do anything. I'm not feeling great. So he's back, and I tell you what, pet insurance is a godsend. You know, I might spend a fortune every month for cat and dog insurance, but I would have had to have sold the house to cover the bills if I didn't have it. And me, I'm still not well. Just to throw me in there, I'm still not well. From the time I visited A&E, I've still got all the same symptoms. I'm still so dizzy, it's unbelievable. And no one cares. You know, NHS wise. I'm trying to get a doctor's appointment still, because my issues, I've got a new issue. It's like it moves around my body. But due to a family member having something in a place which was bad, and he's no longer with us, you know, mine's travelled sort of to the same area. And I'm like, I'm scared now. You know, I just need them to do a certain type of bloods and, you know, check my urine and all that nonsense. Just to give me basically a nod to go, Paul, there's nothing wrong with you. It's in your head. And I'll be like, all right, I'll live with it in my head. You know, I've had a pain in my side for 5 years, and I know what it isn't. So I just accept I've got a pain in my side. But anyway, I can't get a doctor's appointment. So I'm still trying to get a doctor's appointment. And it's crazy because, like, where I'm from, a place called Wythenshawe in Manchester, there's like this thing where you say, you know, if you arrive in Wythenshawe at 10 in the morning, you can have a gun in your hand by 2. You know, and that's something that's just always been known and said. You could just walk into certain pubs and go, I really need a gun. And like I say, you'll get one. And I find it insane that that is actually true. That is more factually accurate than being able to secure a doctor's appointment. So I can get an illegal firearm, but I can't get a legal doctor's appointment because of how broken this NHS system is. And as always, the people who could make the decisions are rich, probably in private healthcare, and haven't got a clue what a little, you know, bottom of the ladder type of person like me is. But we're not here to do politics. my friends. So, I think what I want to have a waffle about, if you don't mind, would be so kind, is I'm I realised something, and that is, and it came from work. So I don't get believed, and I'm wondering whether it's just me or whether it's a general autism thing. Because something happened in work. Like I've accepted I used to lie. I've accepted I used to deceive. I've accepted that that might have caused problems in the past. I've accepted that trying to hide my autism and trying to blend in and trying to be everything that everybody wants might make me look like I can't be trusted. I do get that. But what I also find weird is when people don't know that you're doing these things, when people haven't found out after the fact and then they might be skeptical of you. Because I read something on this internet page that this person had been friends with someone for 25 years and then decided to tell them that they fancied them. And this friend of 25 years flirted off, wanted nothing to do with them ever again. And this person can't understand why. And it's like, imagine how that person feels thinking they've got a genuine friend for 25 years, but then potentially you've been harboring these feelings and not said a word. That person feels a bit hurt. Come on, figure it out, man. So, it's not like I've been in a situation where I've been somebody to someone, they've really taken me on board, and then all of a sudden I get diagnosed with autism, start to reevaluate who I am, and then take my mask off and go, by the way, this is really me. All those things I was doing, they're not genuine. I meant them, but it wasn't genuinely who I am at the core. Because I could understand a person like that getting a bit peeved off and maybe being a bit mistrusting of me in the future. I get that. I understand that. But what I find weird is there are people I've not done that with, and there's always just this level of mistrust that I don't believe you. And I'm just wondering if it's me. And that's what I'm asking, basically. So I'll give you a couple of stories, as always, um, to try and fill in the blanks. So I'm not a fan of lying. I was never a fan of lying when I lied. But you've got to understand, I wasn't doing anything for ill-gotten gains. I was doing it because the normal me, the real me, the autistic me, that wasn't enough to get what I needed. And I'm just after the bare minimum to blend in. I'm not after, achieving the world and becoming the boss and things. I was just after trying to break even. But then other people will lie for their own, their own benefit, which might be to trample on others, just so they can get one step ahead. And something's happened where someone has lied, and I don't mind this person being grandiose with their ideas. I don't mind them being able to sell snow to Eskimos, with the skill of storytelling. I don't mind all of that. I don't mind that this person speaks better than I do, has a better accent than I do. In their opinion, Mancunian is the best accent out there. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going mad, I promise you. Um, but basically, there was this discussion between my boss, this person, and then me, but never at the same time. So this person is lying to my boss, and then I'm on the other side going, that's a lie. So my boss is in the middle and he doesn't know who to believe. Now, what's crazy is I know I'm not the one lying. I know I'm telling the truth because I don't want to lie. I want to reduce my lies to a minimum. I will only lie now when it is just to keep the peace for that moment in that scenario. Like, are you all right, Paul? I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine. Let's just move on. I might not be fine, but I know by saying, no, do you know what? I'm not fine. It's just going to like kick off. I'd rather just save it. I'll deal with it afterwards. But this guy has lied. and that wound me up because that was where the line was drawn, because the lie was about something which did involve me and kind of doesn't involve me. But then my boss is sat in the middle going, I don't know who to believe, because obviously the person telling the lie hasn't said they've lied. My boss has mentioned it to me and I've gone, that's a lie. The joy of it all is I have evidence. I love evidence. That's my job in life. I like to have evidence for everything to prove that people have lied about me so much in life over things that have been out of my control. Like, I had a very old friend, like a very long time friend, and he to this day will still love to hinge everything about me on a lie and try his hardest to believe it because that's what he wants. Because he wants to know that I'm flawed. And it's like, right, well, he does that. I don't do that. So that makes me better than him. It's a primitive way of thinking, but that's the way he's always been. He's had a weird jealousy over me that I've never had for him. I've only ever wanted him to do well. That was weird. You know, I had a guy who I thought was a close friend who ended up getting into drugs, and I tried to stop him, but he wanted to do it anyway. He started getting really paranoid while he was taking them, tried to stop him anyway. And then he thinks we fell out over an issue we genuinely didn't fall out over, but I was clear minded. He wasn't. You know, he thinks we fell out because he slept with a girl that liked me. So she liked me. I didn't know that. He slept with her. So still none the wiser, still don't care. You know, the real reason we fell out is because he had someone in his family pass away. And I simply asked him to not let drugs near his impressionable cousin. And he never ever responded to a message. But this guy has made up lies about me for years. Why? Don't worry about me. I'm not thinking about you, but some people need to lie to make themselves feel better, even if it's a false way of doing it. I don't need that. I need the truth. I need logic. I need evidence and I need contentment. So I never need to travel down them roads anymore. When I was trying to just break even, I need to just feel all right now. And the only way to get there is by keeping my mind as clear as possible. And to do that, I've got to not create things I need to remember, which is a lie sometimes for me. So I don't do that anymore. And this guy in work had lied. And when my boss came to me and basically said the same words back, thinking everything was fine, I felt this overpowering need to prove that it was a lie. Because I had a counter argument, I just felt automatically that I needed to prove it, that my word isn't good enough. And I just wonder why that is. Why do I not feel like my word is ever good enough? Why do I always feel like I need to back it up? You know, I'm never thinking of the person who's lied. I'm never thinking of the lie. I just think I have to be believed. No, a little bit of me thinks it's because I spent so long deceiving for what were the right reasons with no no want or desire to hurt anybody else or their feelings. But I had to do it, you know. So the fact that I am now trying to be truthful and live more truthful to me, I just have such a want to be believed because I am being truthful. But it's a crazy thing because, you know, we live in a world where truth and honesty is not frowned upon, but it's looked upon as suspicious, and that's a horrible thing that the world is that way. You tell someone the truth and they're like, "I'm not too sure." Telling you the truth, you know. But you know, the bonus was I have evidence in this situation, and I just got to present it to my boss, and it's weird because as much as I've done that, as much as I've shown him the evidence and I've managed to fully explain how it isn't me who's lying, my boss was like, "Okay, well, thank you, Paul. I appreciate you taking the time to show me that." And da 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 da. But because he never said the words, "I believe you," I still don't feel any better. You know, so I just find it unusual. because I've been thinking about it. I've just been thinking about how much I used to have to deceive, which is lying, to blend in, to break even. It was never for the wrong reasons. But yet there is this level of mistrust at me and for me. I find it unusual that people who maybe don't even know I'm autistic, people who do know I'm autistic but have never had to do that, messing around of a lie with them, why there is that level of standoffishness or mistrust. And sometimes it manifests in a way where other people can have a discussion. I can have the same discussion with someone else and they get more defensive quicker. And I don't know what that's about either, because that's happening as well in work over a very simple issue. I spoke to, again, my boss about it because I'm trying to be as upfront and honest as I can with him because I don't want to get buried again with stress. And he just gives me more diplomatic ways to talk, which shouldn't have to happen. But, that's the world we live in, I'm afraid. And it made me think back to a time when I was working under another manager, and he didn't know I was autistic until, well, he's the manager who kind of mentally forced me to chase down why I felt so different forever and why we were clashing so much. It was this manager, but it was before I'd even had my diagnosis of autism. This was before that. And I've probably told you the story before, but for those who've heard me before, I'm on a rant now, which is where I shine because I'm a moaner and a ranter. But he'd promised me a course. He'd promised me to do this course year after year after year. And every single time I had to read information about the course, find a cheap course, find one where it was minimal days away from work. The more I hear it now, the more stupid I know it sounds. But, year after year, I would take it to this annual re- performance review. And it got to the third year. And, I was brought down by this. I was feeling sad about it. Like, why is he not giving me the course? He's the one who raised it. They're the ones who said that they would give me a course. I have sourced this course. I have done all the background and the check-in. I've done all of it for them. And yet year after year, I don't get it. So the third year, I was sort of a bit more prepared to not just accept that they weren't going to do it again, but I was very down. I was very dejected. I was very flat, just feeling like I was being used. I was underpaid by the industry standard by about £10,000 a year. But there's me, Mr. Loyal Labrador, getting kicked, but still going to the owner for a belly rub. And I remember going in for that third time, and it gets to the page about, development, and it was like, just waiting for the page to turn, and it was like, right, you've said again that you want a course paying, I was like, well, I do. And it was like, well, whatever he was saying, it was basically trying to put the blame on me that it hadn't happened yet. And I was refusing to accept that because I'd done everything that I was asked for each time. And I was like, no, you've asked me to source it. I have. You've asked me to cost it. I did. You've asked me to find ones closer to me. I have done. These are the only ones available. And he's like, well, you didn't do that last time. I'm like, I did. I've got email evidence of all the emails I sent you. I checked them before I came to make sure they're still on my system to prove, because I knew you would say that I haven't done something, that the blame would somehow be put on me. But unfortunately, you've offered me a course. I am just asking you to fulfill what you said you would do. And because I sort of had all the evidence and I answered back and I held my own, he just went, well, I can't trust you. You're not getting it because I can't trust you. And it's like, what do you... And that just made me feel like crap, because I had done everything for that company. I had been everywhere. I had done all this training. I let them decide when I would take my breaks. I let them decide when I could take annual leave based around all the work, because I didn't want anyone or anything to suffer, even though at that same time I was paying everyone's wage with the contract that I had built up, that I'd built up the good relations with me. I was doing all of those things, and I was just asking for something back. Just something back. And for him to say, after I'd done all of those things, I don't trust you, it made me feel even worse. It made me feel absolutely terrible. And it wasn't the fact that I'd had 3 years of lies given to me. It wasn't the fact that he speaks to me like a piece of trash. None of that. It was the fact that he'd said he didn't trust me and I'd done nothing to get those words thrown at me. The reality is I shouldn't have trusted them. You don't pay someone £10,000 less than the industry standard. You don't promise courses and never give it to them. You don't promise a company car and then don't deliver on it. You don't you don't say things are going to happen and then they don't. You don't promise me the role of the fire manager for 5 years. For when the company gets big enough, there'll be health and safety and fire. When the fire's available, I'll put you in charge. You'll be back into fire, not health and safety. And then they employed someone else, this young kid, and gave him a fire manager job. Trust me, of all the people who were not trustworthy, it wasn't me. Um, and then, like, maybe 2 or 3 months later, when something else was going on, I said, when you said that you didn't trust me, I said it made me feel like crap for months. And he's like, what? I never said that. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. I would never have said that. I do trust you. I don't know why that. And it's like, look, you can say 1,000 things to 1,000 people. I don't speak to many people, and the people I do speak to aren't negative to me. You are. I remember the negative. Trust me, you said that. And then I went and bought the course myself when the penny dropped and stopped relying on someone else to, stick to their promises. And he proper saw his backside at that I'd taken the initiative to go and get the course they promised and never delivered. But what is it? Why is there a distrust? Because what people need to realize, this distrust that's born out of nothing. Autistic people, I can promise you, are probably the most trustworthy people because they're going to be honest with you. Does my bum look big in this? Yeah, because you've got a big bum. There you go. Does this dress make me look fat? No, your fat makes you look fat. There'll always be a genuine answer. And I know I've just picked on 2 weight-related ones, but so be it. But, there will always be truth. Like, I don't go to London personally because it's a horrible place. I don't get on with it. So I'm not going to go for work. And if people ask why, I say, because I can't stand the place. There's no diplomacy in me because I don't need it. Autistic people are honest, but yet we're branded the most dishonest people and we're not believed. All I want to hear is someone say, I believe you, over a situation without me needing to feel like I've got to dig for evidence to help you believe me on a neutral stance, neutral playing field when the liar or whatever it might be, isn't doing that. I'm working, I'm doing the job you pay me for, I'm putting my heart and soul into it. Trust me, I'm doing my job. But, it does create, like you will, like the self-esteem, you get battered, you have low self-esteem from it. It's horrible. It can create a trauma because you never feel like you want to speak up anymore. It's very unpleasant because you do spend so much time being autistic lying because you have to wear a mask to blend in, and that's not for your benefit, that's for the other people's benefit. And what do they pay you back with? By telling you they don't believe you and they've got a mistrust for you. It's not fair, is it? But I don't know whether it's just me, and I don't know whether it's just something I suffer with, or whether it's something other people have had those similar experiences. But I wanted to share it if you're still here. Anyway, thanks for watching or listening. And until next time, keep smiling.